Good evening and welcome to Breaking Views on NDTV. I am Ankit Tyagi. Ladies and gentlemen, for the last 5 days, there is one man who is the most wanted in Punjab and dare I say in the country right now. The entire Punjab police apparatus, every single hour that Amritpal Singh, the Khalistani supporter, the preacher propped up by the ISI, remains out of their custody, out of their reach, is being left red-faced. But we have some very, very important information. We'll tell you all about what's happening and what is the latest as far as the investigation is concerned. But important information NDTV has accessed exclusively. Amritpal Singh, the ISI Khalistani stooge, his entire anti-India blueprint has been accessed by NDTV. Now, this dossier has been prepared by the central agencies, and we have got our hands on the excerpts of how Amritpal's big plan was in motion. In fact, to set once again the fire of separatism, of Khalistan, and also to mislead the youth once again into the dark days of 1980s and the early 90s that Punjab had witnessed, all on the behest of his handlers, his masters, sitting across the border in Pakistan. Without further ado, let's very quickly tell you and give you the details of what NDTV has been able to access. Now, there have been certain key elements of how the weapons were being brought in and how things were being used. So, sources have told NDTV on the weapons part, Amritpal was getting weapons from Pakistan. Sources say that Amritpal got these weapons from the ISI. There is a direct link that the Punjab police and the agencies have been able to establish of the number of drone activity on the border with Punjab and Pakistan, which has increased since the time Amritpal has entered the country. Amritpal was also building a private militia and was recruiting from his rehabilitation centers. The pitch was religious. The pitch was for the good of the people, to get the Punjabi youth free, get them free of the drugs, get them off the drugs. And for that, this entire de-addiction center business, or at least the network, was being made. But what was happening in these de-addiction centers? They were recruiting grounds as far as Amritpal is concerned. The weapons, ladies and gentlemen, were in fact coming through ISI. They were stockpiling of the weapons illegally being done at these de-addiction centers. He was building a private militias from these drug centers, building private militia to create law and order problem in the state of Punjab. There was this logo which was found of the Ajnala Commando Force, which he was building and was used on these weapons. The attempt was to divide Punjab and to create communal fissures in the state, a sensitive state. His associates were threatening brainwashing inmates at the de-addiction centers. Inmates were being beaten until they agreed to submit themselves to the cause of Amritpal. Drugs, in fact, Amritpal was involved in the drug nexus. So on one hand, he was projecting himself as the Messiah who was getting the youth of Punjab off the drug problem. On the other, he was getting his money from the drug mafia and the drug nexus between Pakistan and the drug mafia. There has been increase in the drug-carrying drones in Punjab since the arrival of Amritpal Singh. Links with cross-border drug dealers based in Pakistan is also what the agencies are indicating. Now, the Mercedes which was given to him was also from a drug lord, Rawal Singh. Dubious finances, maintaining convoy of expensive vehicles without accounting for finances is what Amritpal Singh was actually doing. He had no account for the money which was collected in the name of Waris Punjab Day programs, the group or the association, the organization that he was in fact heading. Now, this was the repeat of 1980s and the 90s through Amritpal that the ISI wanted to, in fact, do in Pakistan, in Punjab, and once again, throw the, the Punjabi youth not only in drugs but also in terrorism. And in this entire game, the pawn, the main face was Amritpal. Let me very quickly go across, in fact, at this moment to my colleague Neeta, who's accessed these details. Neeta, important details that you have accessed and highlighted from your sources in the various agencies in the central government. Now, these are very, very serious charges and a very sinister plan, to say the least, as far as Amritpal is concerned. What were the agencies doing and what's the plan from here on? Because it's just not Amritpal, but also the tentacles that he has left behind in Punjab.
See, Ankit, as far as the tentacles are concerned, they are already going after them. More than 100 people have been arrested. But the fact is, the main hero of the movie is still missing, Amritpal Singh. It's day 5 today. Agencies are after him. The Punjab police, yesterday Punjab High Court in fact said 80,000 policemen were after him. Center has sent so many paramilitary forces, so many battalions have been sent. But still, he has been able to, run and cocking a snook at the law and order machinery, the entire law and order machinery. In fact, it seems like a movie the way he's running from one place to another, and people are there to help him out. Even if his bike goes out of petrol, there's a car waiting for him, there's a second car waiting for him, there are clothes waiting for him, there is food waiting for him. So everything seems to fall in place, which needs to be questioned as to why and how it is happening when Punjab police is hot on his heels. But the fact is that he was making, he had sinister plans. As far as de-addiction centers are concerned, the very valid question being raised is that if these were de-addiction centers, why was he not recruiting doctors? Only people who used to come there, he was using them as front shields whenever there were religious processions which he used to take part in. They used to walk every day about 20 kilometers trying to mobilize the youth, trying to, inculcate separatist ideas in them. So many things have been, come to light. In fact, as far as you were mentioning the drone sightings, earlier this month only, Ankit, in January itself, 33 drones were sighted over international borders, out of which 21 times it was over Punjab border only. So each time a drone comes, it comes with a caseload. As we all know, it brings drugs, it brings weapons also. These private militia that he had raised had automated weapons. In fact, some of them did not even have licenses, but he was asking them, all his supporters, to carry the weapons, and if they are being stopped, to use them also. So that is the kind of...
I just want to ask you, has the government or the agencies been zeroed down on his handlers across the border, the ISI link that we are talking about? Have they been able to zero in on that?
See, even if they have, obviously they have, as far as ISI links are concerned, his London links are concerned, his UAE links are concerned, all have been named. But the fact is, what can you do about them? The man who was here right now, not only his, LOC or NBW has been issued. In fact, even BSF and SSB have been alerted so that he cannot sneak outside India. That is from even Nepal also. As far as his handlers are concerned, some of them have been identified not only in London but Canada also, how money was being pumped into. They have the entire chart. But the chart is again in the books, but the main hero of the movie is still missing. Ankit?
And that's the big question. Thank you so much, Neeta, for accessing these details for us and putting them out in public domain. But very, very importantly, as Neeta said, the main villain of the movie is still absconding. And 5 days it has been. But from a Mercedes car to a Maruti Brezza to a motorcycle, and then now to this latest, in fact, picture of Amritpal on a jugaad, on a local bike-borne, in fact, jugaad in which a trolley on which he is traveling. These are the pictures that I'm talking about. How from a speed of 220 on a Mercedes to a speed of 10 kilometers per hour possibly on this jugaad, as it is called in rural areas, a tractor sort of a thing which is made on a carrier or on a platform of a motorcycle. Amritpal has used every available means of transport. A four-wheeler luxury car, a four-wheeler, then a two-wheeler, and then a three-wheeler as well to, in fact, give the cops a slip. But the fact remains, ladies and gentlemen, it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing for the police at this moment. Look at this from all the vehicles that he has used, a Mercedes, a Maruti Brezza, then a motorcycle, and then, of course, this jugaad on which Amritpal is being seen sitting. The police is absolutely clueless to this day. And this raises a lot of questions about not only the ability of the Punjab police, but also whether the operation was foolproof to nab Amritpal. Let me very quickly give you the latest of what has happened. This bike that you see, the last seen vehicle on which, before that jugaad picture came out, Amritpal was running away with one of his close aide, Amritpal Singh. This has now been found abandoned in the rural areas near, in fact, Jalandhar. The police has nabbed this bike. My colleague Saurabh Shukla sends us this report.
We are at Shahkot police station. This is the Brezza car recovered by Punjab police, PB02EE3343. Amritpal used this car after getting out of his Mercedes, and this car is registered under the name of Amritpal Singh, his closest advisor. They say that Amritpal is media advisor to Amritpal Singh. Punjab police has recovered this car from Hoshiarpur. Now it is stationed at Shahkot police station, and this is the Platina bike. After leaving this Brezza car, Amritpal sat on this Platina bike and fled from Nangal Ambia village. He was there. He went to a Gurudwara inside and he was there for almost 45 minutes. He changed his clothes there. He ate and left. According to the Granthi of that Gurudwara, Granthi said that Amritpal was here, said that he is here, that he has to go for some other program, that is why he need to change. And Granthi provided him with the clothes. And after that, Amritpal left after having food. This was a Platina bike. Amritpal was riding this bike. Amritpal was sitting at the back. The footage we already have. We have accessed it. The footage was from Nangal village of Shahkot. This is Shahkot police station, and police has recovered this motorcycle.
So this is the latest recovery as far as Amritpal Singh is concerned. You were also going through the timeline, the 5 days of what has happened in this operation. But whatever is happening in Punjab, there is only one silver lining, that it's not that a lot of public support is for Amritpal, and that's why we are not seeing any protest or people coming out and speaking in support of this man. He has been exposed. But the propaganda machinery outside India is running on full tank. So you saw, ladies and gentlemen, a few days back, the kind of action that the Khalistanis did, in fact, outside the Indian High Commission in London. Then, today, we saw the reaction by the government of India, which was not very happy with the lax security outside the Indian High Commission and the way the London police, in fact, did not react to this kind of a brazen support of the Khalistanis, the protests of the Khalistanis outside the Indian High Commission. And after this reaction by India, there seems to have been a correction which has been done today, where we saw massive arrangements of the London Met Police outside the Indian High Commission in the capital of United Kingdom, in the capital of England. I beg your pardon, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what tells you the entire story and why we are talking about this. The Indian government and the Indian High Commission and also the Ministry of External Affairs was extremely angry that the protesters were allowed to run amok outside the Indian High Commission, and to send across a very strong message to the government of United Kingdom. India today decided to remove the barricading outside the residence of the British High Commissioner and also the High Commission in the national capital. My colleague Neeta with this report.
I'm standing at Niti Marg, where British High Commission is located behind me. You can see the British High Commission. There were reports that some kind of special security cover which was given to the embassy has been withdrawn, or the security has been downscaled. However, when we spoke to senior officers who are in charge of this area, they said this is a highly sensitive zone because this is a diplomatic zone. So in and around this area, if you see any pole, those high resolution cameras are, placed there. So obviously you don't need barricades to control the situation or, as far as the security is concerned. Opposite British High Commission, you can see Ashoka Hotel. At the roundabout also, you can see high resolution cameras have been placed on poles. However, through sources, we are learning that after London incident, India has decided, or India is mulling rather, to review the security which has been provided to UK diplomats. However, Ministry of Home Affairs is yet to confirm whether the security has been downscaled or not. In New Delhi, this is Neeta Sharma reporting for NDTV.
So the government of India decided to remove the barricading to in fact send across a message, some sort of a message to in fact the government of United Kingdom. What has been the reaction of this message, ladies and gentlemen? Let me show you some latest visuals which are coming in from London. In fact, at this moment, there is another protest which is taking place in London today. Can we just play the protest shots of London? We'll just, in fact, try and get you those shots where you can see that there is on one side the Indian diaspora which is supporting, in fact, and are protesting against the Khalistani supporters, those who are on the other side of the road. So this is the Indian High Commission, if you can call it the heart and heart of London. And today at least there is massive police presence as well, barricading where the Khalistani supporters have been kept at bay, and the massive Indian flag in fact fluttering with all its pride. So there seems to be at least some lessons which have been learnt as far as the British police, the London Met Police is concerned. We'll go across to my colleague Radhika, who is joining us at this moment to give us a sense of what's happening on the ground at this moment. Radhika, there seems to be very quick lessons which have been learnt by the London Met Police. Just give our viewers a sense of what's happening around you and the differences that you see on the protests which we witnessed, a couple of days back, and what's happening today.
Well, Ankit, let me just update you that as we talk, the protests have just got a bit ugly on the other side, and that's because on the opposite side of the road, which is the Indian Commission side of the road, another large Indian flag was just been hoisted, and that provoked some of the protesters who threw black ink, color bombs, even water bottles at the police. In fact, one policeman had to be evacuated because there was black ink on his face. But because of the given unprecedented security of the police here, and this is clearly not just a law and order issue, but also that of a diplomatic stance that UK is making to sort of make sure that the Indian side is not hurt and there is no violence. I can tell you that there is a huge turnout of protesters, more than 3,000 people, but they are contained on the opposite side in the heart of London. And just here, and there's traffic as usual. It's a working day. It's traffic as usual. And here on the India House, as it's called, or Bharat Bhavan, which is the Indian embassy, it's work as usual. There are the 3 Indian flags which are flying. The big one, of course, that you see on the edifice just there. And above that, which I can't show you from here because we've just been moved for safety, above that is another large Indian flag that has just been hoisted even as protests are going on. And that's the reason we saw a little bit of disturbance. Now, officially on record, they have permission up until 3 p.m. to protest. And as I see it, it's already 3:30 here in London. So about time that this protest is about to end. And the police say that they will evacuate people should the protests get even further ugly and they don't evacuate before 4 p.m. Ankit?
Radhika, thank you for getting us the latest. Radhika was saying that few of the people got clearly enraged seeing the huge Indian flag, and there were some attempts, in fact, to disturb the peace there. But has this message worked, and what it means for India and United Kingdom? Joining me now at this moment, Mr. Navdeep Suri, distinguished fellow ORF and former ambassador. Thank you so much, Ambassador Suri, for joining us on Breaking Views. I want to understand from you, sir, in diplomacy, the tit for tat that we have seen, the way India, in fact, wanted to send across a message by just removing a few barricades outside the British High Commission. Do you see that having an impact with the way the security arrangements have been made today in United Kingdom?
It seems to be working, Ankit, because I think the decision to downgrade security, even if not stated explicitly, was really a sign of our frustration and our anger at the inaction of the British authorities. The fact that the Khalistanis were coming to protest at the Indian High Commission should have been no surprise to the Brits. London has probably the highest density of CCTVs. They call it the Iron Grade. So they would have known that this was underway. Even now, I think we should be watching not just what they are doing today, but the visuals of the perpetrators are available to everyone. Not only do they have CCTVs, but there's face recognition software. There's an ability to match and find out who these people were. Arrest them, throw the book at them, and don't stop there. Go after the puppeteers. I've been in enough situations in Washington and in Canberra and in London to know about the playbook of renting a crowd, often with ISI support, busing it to a venue, creating a disturbance, taking pictures, sending them back to your handlers and masters and saying, job done. And now it is pay time. We've seen this time and again. I don't discount the fact that there is a small community within the Sikhs who are, from that post-1984 generation who have a certain degree of angst.
Yes.
But the mainstream of the large Sikh community is very, very patriotic, if you could say that.
Absolutely.
In how they behave. So I think what we've done is send one initial message to the UK that this cannot go unchallenged. You have to do something. You've got this whole Big Brother set up in UK. Well, Big Brother
right.
has been watching but doing nothing.
But Ambassador Suri, this is where my next question, comes to you for. You said, and very rightly so, that there might be a very small minority that has these kind of, Khalistan supporting sort of a feeling. Because if it was a large scale kind of a setup or a feeling, we would have seen some sort of a repercussion in Punjab as well. It's absolutely peaceful. There is no, there's not a shred of violence or protest which is taking place in favor of Amritpal. So it does look like a very well organized propaganda campaign, not only in United Kingdom, but in Canada, Australia and America as well. What can we do to counter, and what can we expect? What kind of a pressure can we expect to put on these governments to go against the masters of this entire scene?
Ankit, I've driven down today from Gurgaon to Amritsar, which is home for me. And I can vouch for what you're saying. That Punjab is normal. There are no signs of any protest. There's no gatherings of people in support of Amritpal. There are no free Amritpal kind of campaigns anywhere. And, all of my friends that I speak with in Punjab and in Amritsar are vocal, saying, about time, maybe government was late in apprehending or trying to get hold of this guy, but at least a message has been sent that, a threshold was crossed. And
yes,
nobody in Punjab wants to go back to the bad old days of the 1980s and early 90s. We've lived through those. Coming on your point about the rest of the world, what you can see is a clear pattern. It started with those vandalism of temples in Melbourne and in Sydney. The attack on the honorary consulate office in Brisbane.
Right.
And I think what we need to do is, we are doing it. Prime Minister himself told Prime Minister Albanese when he was here, the Australian Prime Minister, that look, this is deeply worrisome and you need to work on it.
Right.
So I think the messaging is there at the political level, but we also need much better intelligence on what these groups are up to, so that we can stop them in their tracks. And certainly a much more active message to the host countries.
Yes.
That look, you cannot take India for granted.
Absolutely, and it's very, very important also in the year when India has the G20 presidentship. It is also required to send across a strong message that anti-India activities, no matter where they are, will not be tolerated by New India. So thank you so much for sparing the time and talking to us here on Breaking Views. It's as, Ambassador Suri was also saying, ladies and gentlemen, very, very important. It's a very small nudge today with the barricading being removed that the government has sent across. More needs to be done so that the governments in United Kingdom, America, Canada, Australia, and anywhere else where such elements, propagandists, are in fact trying to paint a bad picture for India, are brought to task. The book of the rule book has to be thrown at them, and only then should India stop nudging these countries. Thank you so much for joining us here on Breaking Views. News and updates continue on NDTV. Good night.